Good morning. Happy Tuesday. How is everyone? It's a cold morning here in Georgia. Y'all can laugh at how I'm dressed if you want to, but it's 26 degrees and feels like 19. So y'all can just laugh on. Yeah. Because maybe in Alaska, that's a nice warm day, but here in Georgia, that's a cold day. Now, moving on. Let me tell you something. Last night, well, it was after 10 o'clock, like 10:30. I don't know. I didn't realize how late it was. I was still wide awake, laying in the bed, trying to count sheep, when I heard gunshots. That's right, and they were close. So I texted Leanne, and I texted Tommy. I said, y'all okay? And they were like, yeah, why? You didn't hear those gunshots? No. Well, why am I the only one hearing it? I have no idea. I never heard sirens. It's a moot point to call the police because what are you gonna tell them? I just heard gunshots. Where are they coming from? I don't know. Yeah, they can drive around the neighborhood, but what are they gonna find? A bunch of houses. They can't just go knock door to door. Do you hear gunshots? You know where they came from? Cool. Did you hear gunshots? You know where they came from? Cool. When I lived in my apartment, every night at midnight, around that time, it wasn't exact, someone who lived, I think behind me, I don't know. Behind my bedroom wall, I know that. Come this way. Would start hammering on the wall. Also, while I lived in the apartment, there was a landscaping business right next door. Just my luck, my apartment was on the edge of our parking lot and on the edge of their fencing. They had a German Shepherd that would bark all night long. I love all dogs. I love all dog breeds. I don't have a thing against any dog breed, but I tell you what, that all night barking made me hate the bark of a German Shepherd because they are the most
what's the word?
Monotone barker. Yep, nothing ever changes. Oh, oh. I know, that sounded like a dog, didn't it? It was me, baby. Oh, oh, oh. Come on, it's me. She's looking for somebody to fight. Look at her. What you looking for, cutie? Oh, oh, oh. Come on. Oh, that was pretty good. Anyway, yeah, that dog would bark all night. And then I had the knocker living next door. I didn't exactly know where it was coming from. I never called leasing. I never did anything because I tried to fight the dog. Not fight the dog. I didn't go out and fight a German Shepherd, okay? But I called the city of Kennesaw and complained. Oh! I called them and complained on the dog. Nothing ever happened to the dog. I called the company and complained. Nothing ever happened to the dog. She's really looking for some dog. You need to focus on what you're doing here, which is using the bathroom. I didn't win. That dog continued to bark all night. So I ended up buying me a sound machine. I mean, this was early days cell phones, so they didn't have internet. So I bought me a sound machine and turned it up, and I bought earplugs. I only slept with one earplug in because I tell you what, if you have two of them in, you can't hear nothing. And I didn't want to be that far gone. I like to be able to hear my surroundings. That's why when I'm on the phone, I only wear one earbud so that I can have another earbud to hear out of. Earbud. Ear. Just ear, Tracy. It's not an earbud. Well, anyway, late one evening, this man knocks on my door. No, it wasn't late one evening. It was 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. That's when it was. Somebody knocks on my door. And he knocks very loudly. If you've ever heard sheriff's office, police department knocking, they knock, okay? There's no denying the knock. I had the knocker on one side, and then I had the knock on the other side. She's doing it in our yard. So I get up and I go to the door. And I barely open it, and I've got my weapon in my hand because I ain't dumb. I said, "Can I help you?" And he said, "I'm with the Kennesaw Police Department." I said, "Oh, you finally gonna do something about the dog at 2 o'clock in the morning?" That's not what I said. I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I'm getting complaints that you're hammering." I said, "No, I was sleeping. If I was doing anything, I was snoring. I think it's on the other side of me, over there." He said, "I'm sorry to bother you, ma'am. Thank you." You know what? The hammering stopped. So he found him. He found the knocker. And he took care of the knocker. And I loved living in those apartments because I had the absolute best view of the... Back up. I had the absolute best view of the sunsets. Amazing sunsets. Just incredible. But I was on the 3rd floor and hauling groceries up 3 flights of stairs gets kind of old, you know. Let's drive to work, shall we? Yeah, my car's all defrosted. My seat is warm. I took off my big coat and I'm just wearing this because this is like a wool. It is very warm. Now, it wasn't warm enough to go without my other coat. Let's not get crazy because it allows in too much airflow. You know what I'm saying? It lets in too much, but I like it. Yeah. That apartment that I lived in, I loved living there. I did. That's where I got Gracie. And I snuck her in. I mean, she didn't even weigh a pound when I got her. I think she was only 5 weeks old. And I took her to the vet and he was like, "She's not. They recommend 6 to 8 weeks. He said, "She's not 6 to 8 weeks. He said, they took her off her mama early, but she'll be fine." She weighed, I don't know how much she weighed, like 10 ounces, teeny tiny little thing. And I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna tell them that I have this tiny little kitten because they wanted an extra, I think it was $500 pet deposit. I didn't have $500. And I was like, what is this tiny little kitten going to do? She barely fits in the palm of my hand. When I would take her to... You need to stop. Holy moly, that bus went flying by and we're stopped. When I would take her to the vet, she would ride on my shoulder in the car. She was the sweetest little baby. Not really. She was mean from the day I got her. She hissed at me all the way home. And I was like, boy, I picked the Spitfire out of that group. Yeah, I sure did. Well, I had a huge double window that was maybe, it started about 2 feet off the ground and it went all the way up to about a foot from the ceiling. She would get in that window and lay every day, all day. While I was at work, she was laying in that window. Well, leasing came back to show an apartment to someone and looks up to see this beautiful white kitten laying in the window. And they were like, huh, I don't think she signed a pet deposit or paid a pet deposit or whatever. So, I had to go beg my mother for money. I didn't beg for money ever, but it was either get rid of the cat or beg my mother for a pet deposit. And So I called her and I was like, I gotta get rid of Gracie. I hadn't even had her that long. And I'd been looking for a dog. And some of these rescue groups, I mean, you pretty much have to prove to them that you're Jesus before you can adopt a dog. And that makes me really mad, because there's a lot of dogs that need a home, and I'm a good pet owner, and they wouldn't let me adopt. They wouldn't even give me the time of day. And I was wanting a little bitty dog for an apartment, but they wouldn't let me adopt because I lived in an apartment, because I didn't have a fenced-in yard. Okay, well, guess what? I walk my dogs, even with a fenced-in yard. So, that dog would have been walked plenty. But whatever, it was just meant to be. I got Gracie May. And it's Graci, like my name. Yeah, I didn't add an E, because my mother didn't add an E. I always said if I had a little girl, her name would be Olivia Grace. And that's where Gracie came from. Yeah, Olivia Grace. But her name's Gracie May, not Olivia Grace. But anyway, that's besides the point. But yeah, my mom, yeah, she heard me crying and snotting and boo-hooing, and she said, come over here and get the money and pay the deposit. You can just pay me back. And I said, okay. And I went and got the money, and I paid the pet deposit. And I mean, when I moved out, they gave me all of my money back because the apartment looked brand new. Boy, I left at the wrong time because I'm behind all the stopping buses. Yeah. So anyway, I went to give my mother her money back, and she said, keep it. You'll need it for your new place. And I was like, that's why I love you so much. I mean, that's not why, but that's one of the many reasons why. She was a good mama. But she didn't want me to get rid of my Gracie May because she loved her as much as I did. Because I would go see Mama. I'd go see Mama and take Gracie with me, and she'd lay on my shoulder on the drive over there. And then she would visit with Phoebe, my mom's dog at the time. I made a really good friend living in that apartment. And I also had the scare of my life in that apartment. I was working in open records at the time. And that's how I got involved in that murder trial in Ohio, is by working in open records. So someone would call me and ask for all the phone calls made from the pod that Joe Brown is in, and like his pod and his cell block, to this particular number, okay? So I would do that, and then I would have to sit and listen to him. And I heard this guy, not the Ohio guy, this was the Georgia guy. I heard this guy say, if so-and-so testifies against me, I want you to his mama. If so-and-so testifies against me, I want you to him. I want you to him. I'm hearing all this stuff on the phone, and I'm like, I felt like Barney Fife with the, you know, his facial expressions. Anyway, that's what I felt like. So I turned that over to the DA's office, and I was like, you're going to want to listen to these points, because he's threatening to people. And he did. Well, I had to testify in that trial. And while I am waiting, I mean, his trial has started, and I didn't have to go for like several days into the trial. Well, during that same time frame, I started getting weird phone calls. And those weird phone calls, I would answer, hello, and they were always after midnight. After midnight, we don't let it all hang out. He would ask for someone, and I would say, you've got the wrong number, and then he would call back and ask for someone, same person, and I would say, you've got the wrong number. And this went on for a few days, and because there was no blocking back then that I knew of, I don't know, it was just a home phone. And he called one more time, and Medea came out. I said, let me tell you something. If you call me one more time, I am turning this over to the sheriff's office, and we will find you, and you will be arrested. He didn't call back. But see, I, in my mind, thought it was related to that trial because he was threatening to people, you know? I don't think it was. Because I don't think me saying, I'm going to turn this over to the sheriff's office really stopped him from calling me, you know? Because if you out to somebody, then you're not going to care for my little idle threat. But it stopped. That's all I care about. And then I had to go testify. And I walked in the courtroom absolutely terrified and had to say my name, state your name for the court. And where, you know, what your city and where you work and blah. And I was like, I don't want to say all that in front of him because he's threatening to people. Anyway, that's what I did. But they had the whole TAC team in there, SWAT team. We used to be called a tactical team, and now it's called a SWAT team. They were all in there, and I just remember looking out at all of them, all of my very gigantic male friends in that courtroom, and I thought, you know what? He's okay. And one of them nodded to me like, it's okay. And I took a deep breath, and I pulled my big girl panties up, and I testified. Yes, I did. Those terrifying times in my life. I'm glad they're over. I'm glad I just have to go sit and play in QuickBooks all day and write checks and do things like that and call and yell at freight companies. I don't yell at freight companies. I do call them though. Anyway, I'm at work, and that's going to be the end of this video because I have talked long enough. So remember, I love you. Jesus loves you. I hope he's coming back soon because people be crazy and wanting to people. And I will talk to you on the next Tracy Tries. Good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. It'll be tomorrow because I post every day. Hit like, laugh, love, follow. You can do that other thing too. Starts with a SH and ends with a ARE if you want to. And I will talk to you later. Toodles manoodles. Goodbye.